Carl Jung was losing his mind, and he knew it. For 6 years, the most brilliant psychiatrist in the world descended into a darkness so complete, his colleagues thought he would never return. He heard voices. He saw visions. He spoke with figures that emerged from the depths of his unconscious. But what if I told you that madness was actually his greatest gift? What Jung discovered in that abyss didn't destroy him. It revealed the hidden architecture of the human soul. And here's the terrifying truth. You are going through it too. That feeling of falling apart. That sense that something is fundamentally breaking inside you. That voice whispering that you're going crazy. The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. Jung would tell you those aren't signs of madness. They are signs of awakening. And by the end of this video, you'll understand why everything you thought was wrong with you might actually be the beginning of your transformation. The breakdown. In 1913, Carl Jung was at the height of his career. He was Freud's chosen successor, the crown prince of psychoanalysis. Then he did something unthinkable. He broke with Freud, and immediately his mind began to shatter. Jung started experiencing what he called a confrontation with the unconscious. He would sit at his desk and feel the floor dissolving beneath him. Faces appeared in the darkness. Voices spoke riddles he couldn't understand. His own psyche was tearing itself apart. Most psychiatrists would have committed themselves. Jung did something radically different. He surrendered to it. Every evening he would deliberately sink into these visions, recording everything in what became the Red Book. His colleagues thought he had lost his mind. His wife worried he would never return. But Jung understood something they didn't. One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. He wasn't going crazy. He was going somewhere, and what he found there would revolutionize our understanding of the human mind. But first, he had to survive the journey into what he called the collective unconscious, the shadow self. Here's what Jung discovered in that darkness. A part of yourself you've never met. He called it the shadow, and it's been running your life from behind the curtain. The shadow is everything you've rejected about yourself. Every quality you were told was unacceptable. Every desire you learned to suppress. Every part of your personality that didn't fit the image you were trying to project. Rejected, hidden, suppressed, denied. Think about it. When you were a child, maybe you were naturally aggressive and your parents punished you for it. So you pushed that aggression into the shadow. Maybe you were too sensitive, too creative, too ambitious. Whatever didn't fit, you buried. But here's the terrifying truth. It never left. The shadow doesn't disappear. It grows stronger in the darkness, and it leaks out in ways you don't even recognize. If Jung's wisdom is resonating with you right now, hit like and subscribe to keep exploring the depths of human psychology with me. Because what I'm about to reveal about how your shadow controls you might change everything you thought you knew about yourself. The projection. Have you ever met someone you instantly hated? Someone who just rubbed you the wrong way for no logical reason? Jung would tell you to pay very close attention to that feeling, because that person isn't your enemy. They are your mirror. This is called projection, and once you understand it, you'll never see your relationships the same way again. Whatever we reject in ourselves, we project onto others. That coworker whose arrogance drives you crazy, they're showing you your own unacknowledged ambition. That friend whose selfishness infuriates you, they're reflecting the needs you've learned to deny. Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. Jung realized that our strongest emotional reactions to others are almost always about ourselves. The qualities we despise in people are the qualities we've buried in our shadow. The traits we admire obsessively are the ones we've disconnected from. Your enemies aren't out there. They are in here. And until you recognize that, you'll keep fighting the same battles with different faces. But projection is just the beginning of how the shadow manifests. The possession. Here's where it gets genuinely disturbing. Jung discovered that when the shadow grows too strong, it doesn't just influence you. It possesses you. Think about those moments when you said or did something completely out of character. When rage took over and you became someone you didn't recognize. when jealousy or fear or cruelty emerged from nowhere and controlled your actions. That wasn't really you, and yet it was. Jung called this shadow possession. It's when the rejected parts of your psyche accumulate so much energy that they temporarily take over consciousness. Road rage, explosive arguments, sudden acts of cruelty followed by confusion and shame. These aren't random glitches in your personality. Shadow taking control. They're your shadow demanding to be acknowledged. And here's the most unsettling part. The more you deny your shadow, the more powerful it becomes. The more you insist you're only good, only kind, only rational, the more violently your darkness will eventually erupt. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. So how do you stop being controlled by something you can't even see? Jung found a way. Meeting yourself. Jung didn't just identify the shadow, he developed a method to confront it. And this is where your journey from madness to awakening truly begins. The first step is brutally simple. You have to admit that you have a shadow, not intellectually. Actually feel it. Accept that you contain darkness, that you are capable of the things you judge in others. You have to sit with the parts of yourself you've been running from your entire life. Jung did this through active imagination. He would close his eyes and invite the figures of his unconscious to appear. He spoke with them, argued with them, listened to what they needed. It sounds insane, and that's exactly the point. We're so terrified of being called crazy that we never explore the depths of our own minds. But Jung proved that the way out is through. You don't heal by running from your darkness. You heal by sitting with it, by asking it what it wants, by integrating it into who you are. The goal is not to become pure light, but to become whole. And when you do, something miraculous happens. The golden shadow. Here's what most people never understand about the shadow. It doesn't just contain your darkness. It contains your gold. All those parts of yourself you rejected didn't just disappear. They went into storage. And some of them are the most powerful aspects of who you could become. Your greatest gifts. Maybe you were too creative as a child and you were told to be more practical. That creativity didn't die. It's waiting in your shadow. Maybe you were too assertive and you learned to be passive. That strength is still there. Maybe you had big dreams and someone convinced you to be realistic. Those dreams never left. Creativity, strength, dreams, power. Jung called this the golden shadow. It's all the positive potential you've disowned because it didn't fit who you thought you were supposed to be. In the shadow is the gold. When you do shadow work, you don't just stop self-sabotaging. You reclaim parts of yourself you forgot existed. You become more than you were, not despite your darkness, but because you finally integrated it. But there's an even deeper layer to this transformation. Individuation. Jung named the ultimate goal of human development individuation. It's not about becoming perfect. It's about becoming whole, and that distinction changes everything. Our culture tells us to pursue the ideal self, to eliminate weakness, to optimize every flaw, to become some polished version of who we think we should be. Jung said this is a recipe for psychological disaster. The most terrifying thing is to accept yourself completely. Individuation means something radically different. It means integrating all the parts of yourself. Light and shadow, masculine and feminine, conscious and unconscious, reason and intuition. You don't become individuated by cutting away pieces of yourself. You become individuated by finally including everything you are. This is why that feeling of falling apart might actually be a beginning. Your old self, the fragmented self built on denial and rejection, has to dissolve before your true self can emerge. I am not what happened to me. I am what I choose to become. The breakdown precedes the breakthrough, and Jung proved this with his own life. Because after 6 years in darkness, he emerged transformed. The collective depth. What Jung found at the bottom of his breakdown wasn't just personal. It was universal. He discovered what he called the collective unconscious, a layer of the psyche we all share. Beneath your personal memories, beneath your individual traumas, there exists a deeper stratum. ancient patterns that have shaped human experience for thousands of years. Archetypes patterns share depths. Jung called these patterns archetypes: the hero, the shadow, the wise old man, the great mother, the trickster. These aren't just characters in stories, they're structures in your psyche. They're why myths from cultures that never contacted each other tell essentially the same stories. They're why you dream in symbols you've never consciously learned. Something ancient is speaking through you. When you feel drawn to certain stories, certain symbols, certain experiences, that's not random. That's an archetype calling to you, who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakes. Your individual journey of awakening connects you to something far larger than yourself. You're not just healing your own psyche. You're participating in the eternal drama of human consciousness. Signs of waking. So how do you know if you're actually waking up and not just going crazy? Jung identified the signs, and chances are you've been experiencing them without knowing what they meant. Sudden dissatisfaction with a life that used to feel fine, relationships that no longer fit, a career that feels meaningless even though it once seemed important. The old structures are crumbling because they were never really yours. Dreams that feel more significant than waking life. Synchronicities, meaningful coincidences that seem impossible to explain. A hunger for depth in a world obsessed with surfaces. These are not symptoms of disorder, but signals of transformation. The midlife crisis isn't a crisis. It's a calling. The depression might not be an illness. It might be an invitation. The anxiety could be the energy of unlived life demanding expression. Jung would tell you that most of what we call mental illness is actually the psyche's attempt to heal itself. The breakdown is the breakthrough trying to happen. Your only job is to stop resisting and start listening. Because there's a final piece of wisdom Jung left us. Become yourself. Jung spent 40 years after his breakdown developing his ideas. He became one of the most influential thinkers in human history, but he never forgot what the darkness taught him. Near the end of his life, he carved words above his doorway that summarized everything he'd learned. Called or not called, God will be present. What does this mean? It means the unconscious doesn't wait for your permission. Whether you choose to confront your shadow or not, it will make itself known. Whether you pursue individuation consciously or not, the pressure toward wholeness never stops. Called or not called, you can cooperate with this process, or you can be dragged through it kicking and screaming. Either way, you will be broken open. Either way, you will be forced to become who you actually are. Your choice. The only question is whether you'll go willingly into that transformation. Whether you'll meet your shadow as an enemy or as a teacher. Jung proved that what looks like madness can be the beginning of the most important journey of your life. The question is no longer whether you're going crazy. The question is whether you're brave enough to wake up. Carl Jung walked through 6 years of darkness so you wouldn't have to walk alone. He mapped the terrain of the unconscious so you could navigate your own depths. He proved that the shadow isn't your enemy. It's the doorway to everything you're meant to become. The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. That feeling you've had, that sense that something is shifting inside you, that fear that you might be losing your mind. Jung would tell you to trust it. Trust the process. You're not falling apart, you're falling together. For the first time, every rejected piece of yourself is waiting to be reclaimed. Every shadow contains gold. Every breakdown holds the seed of a breakthrough. The wisdom of the ages has given you a map. Now you have to walk the territory. If you made it this far, comment shadow integrated to prove you're among the seekers ready to do this work. The vault has more. The wisdom of the ages is yours. Use it well. If this unlocked something in you, hit like and subscribe. Comment below which part of Jung's wisdom resonated most. Share this with someone who needs to hear it.